I just want to check everybody's hearing me now. Okay, I think we're ready to start. Apologies for having a couple of minutes just to get myself organised there. I'm just looking to check and see how many people we have logged in to ensure that we have a quorum. We need 15 people for the quorum. At the moment, I'm seeing that there's 11 attending, so maybe make sure we're all logged in for that. Yep, the numbers are coming up slowly. I've now got 12. I'm hoping there's going to be another couple of people because we're just on past. Just refresh that. And thanks everybody for bearing with us. That's us at 13, so we need just another couple, and we'll be ready to go. Hopefully another couple of people will just finish logging in. 14, one more. That's us. We now have 15 people, so we do have a quorum, so we can go ahead with the AGM. So thanks very much to everybody for logging in and coming along this evening, especially as it's a nice evening and you probably want to get back to the sunshine. So we will go through the business as efficiently as we can. I won't say speedily because we want to give people time for questions if there are questions, but as efficiently as we can. So now that we have a quorum, we need to approve the minute of the previous annual general meeting that took place on the 2nd of December 2024. That needs to be proposed and seconded by people who were at that meeting. So if we could have a proposer and a seconder for that, that would be helpful. It's just a case of clicking for someone who's at the meeting, if you could just click on that vote. Just, I think have we now got, yeah, okay, that's fine. We've got a proposer and a seconder for that, which means that we can move on to the next item, which is the Chair and Chief Executive's report. That's been on the website, so I don't intend to go through word by word, sentence by sentence, everything that was on that report. But I just wanted to highlight a few things just which I think have been really important because we're at the kind of halfway point the financial year, and the report shows a kind of snapshot of where the membership is. So it's been really good to see that we are increasing our membership with over 1,000 new members, and hopefully we will see that continue to grow. And at the last AGM, we were in the process really of finalising the mergers with both Stirling and Perth and Kinross credit unions, and that has now been completed. And that's, I think, given us very positive additions to Scotwest, and we are enjoying working with the new members. Just wanted, again, just to highlight that one of our board members, Samantha Hamill, has stepped down. She had a very short period of time on the board, but she made a big contribution during that point, and we want to, note in the minutes thanks to her for all of the work that she did and the energy that she brought to our discussions. As I said, the report is there. It goes through quite a lot about the background in savings and loans, and also a bit of looking forward because it's been a busy year. Or at least a busy 6 months since the last AGM, and it's also been a kind of point where we have had a lot happening. There's been challenges both in the external environment, but also just as the credit union grows. But throughout that, we've been absolutely committed to continuing to expand the credit union for the benefit of members. We don't do this for any other reason than to provide a service to members. So there's a real sense of momentum at the moment. Lots of things will be happening in the year ahead. Again, some of that has been outlined in the report. And just to mention that as I come to the end of my term, I think I mentioned this at the last AGM, but it really is coming to the end of my term now. This will be the last AGM that I will chair, because we will be in a position of transitioning to the new chairperson over the coming months. So as part of that, because I won't get an opportunity perhaps later, just to put on record my thanks to everybody who's been involved with Scotwest Credit Union, the staff who do a fantastic job, our members, and of course our board of directors who give up their time on a voluntary basis. And that final plug, just to encourage people, if you haven't already thought about it, perhaps you might want to think about putting yourself forward as a director at some point in future. All the information's there on the website, and you get lots of training and lots of support. So that was just a kind of introduction to the report that is there. We decided this time not to have separate chairs and chief executives report, but happy to take questions. I should also, just as a reminder, I have to refer to the regulatory disclosure documentation, which is on page 10. So I have now duly done that as part of the report. But if there are any questions that anybody wanted to ask, now is the time to put those forward. I don't see any coming up on the list at the moment. No. I'll assume then that everyone is happy with that report. That moves us on to the financial statements and the auditor's report, and I'm going to hand over to David from Johnson Carmichael in order to take us through that. Again, the information's there on the website, but I think it's important that we hear from David. So I'm now going to pass over to him, and he will take us through the various parts of that.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kathy. And yeah, good to get the chance to present to everyone. I'm very happy to take any questions at the end, but I'll just give a brief overview of the accounts and the audit itself. I think the first thing to say is that this report is coming later in the cycle than we would normally do. So we would normally present at the formal AGM in December, but this year the timetable was deferred for a number of reasons, but principally because of the merger, to allow time to work through the merger activity, which I'm pleased to say that we've now done, and the audit should complete tomorrow, and also to confirm that the audit opinion will be clean, so there'll be no modifications to the audit report. We're satisfied that the accounts are true and fair, and that there are no factors or indications that we would highlight in relation to going concern. So we're satisfied with the work that we've done on the financial viability of the credit organisation, which is very positive to be able to report that. There are two or three things that I would pull out on the financial results. So firstly, on the statement of comprehensive income. So when you do see the accounts, you will see that there's a healthy increase in the loan interest income this year, which is a factor of the market interest rates that have been in place throughout the year in comparison to the previous year. You'll also see that there's a positive surplus generated by the credit union this year, and that's after taking account of increased dividends to members as well. So it's positive to be able to see the credit union being able to afford those additional dividends to members, and also the interest that's been paid on the interest paying accounts that were launched during the period as well. So that's all taken account of. So in the accounts themselves, the net income that's generated throughout the year is lower than the previous year. But if you adjust for the dividends that were paid, it actually shows an increase in the surplus in the year. And that translates to a very positive position as well on the balance sheet. So the net assets have increased this year. Your total assets have increased from 96 million to 102 million, and your reserves have increased from 10.8 million to 10.9 million. So a small increase in the reserves, but after taking account of the dividends that were paid during the year. So all healthy in terms of the financial performance of the credit union throughout this year. There's one particular additional point that I'll make, because you will see it in the accounts if you're looking at the accounts, but you'll see reference in the accounts to a bargain purchase of £161,000. It's also referred in the accounts to negative goodwill, and I'll try and explain this because I appreciate that there may be some accountants in the meeting, and there'll be some people who are not accountants. But in very simple terms, that when you take over another business, so you took on the activities of Perth and Kinross and Stirling credit unions, and when you do that, when a business takes on another business, then normally there is goodwill generated because you will pay over and above the assets on the balance sheet of those organizations, reflecting the fact that those organizations will generate profits in the future. So that would be the normal pattern of events. In this case, you've actually got the opposite. So although there were assets on the balance sheet of the two credit unions, you didn't physically pay anything for that. So you get this opposite effect where you get negative goodwill, and in effect it's treated as a bargain purchase because you've gained some assets but you haven't paid for them. In reality, it doesn't quite work like that, because this is more of a merger activity in substance. So you've taken on these merged credit unions because it's beneficial for all credit unions to operate as one enlarged credit union. But from an accounting perspective, it's treated as an acquisition. So you get this bargain purchase, which, as I say, is £161,000, which is a one-off credit for this year. So you won't see that coming through again in the following year. But that was one of the areas that we spent quite a bit of time working through over the course of this year's audit. Everything else, I think, is broadly as you would expect based on the ongoing activities of the credit union. But that was probably the main highlights that I wanted to draw attention to. But as I say, if anyone's got any questions, then obviously I can look at any questions that have been fired into the chat as well. I haven't had a chance to look while I've been talking, but if there are questions, then I can address those now.
Thanks very much, David, for that, and thanks for that explanation in relation to the negative goodwill, because that's something I think it's quite hard to get your head around.
Yeah,
that was just goodwill.
Good.
You know, for non-accountants, it can take a bit of. I don't see any questions listed. I'll just give the last opportunity for anybody who wants to raise anything. Now's the time to do it. If not, then thank David very much for all the work. I know it's been a challenge for everybody pulling all this together, but again, thanks to you and thanks to the team in Scotland as well.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
We do require the financial statement to be approved, so it's just really a case of a mover and a seconder for that. If we could get a couple of people just to add their votes to that. Yeah, that's us. We now have a proposer and a seconder for that, so that is absolutely fine. Everybody's cast their votes. And there is really no other business at this point for this AGM. It was very short and sharp, and obviously we're now into the new cycle of timings for AGM, so it will be obviously into sort of March time next year before the next one. So on that basis, no other business. I will thank everybody for their attendance and close the meeting. Thank you.